So what do all these constructors and these methods that we wrote on our student class look like when we put them together with the driver? So if you look at the code that I have here on the screen, the first thing you're going to notice is this is the grades class. Grades is a driver, a tester, a runner, whatever you want to call it. But this is actually your executable program, and this is where you're going to instantiate your objects. The first thing you notice is that it has a main method. When a class has a main method, that means it's executable. So that means it is the driver. So you can see line 1 right here, I made my first student. My data type is student. I called this student 1. It's a new student. And remember that my student constructor, if I was using the parameterized constructor, I had to provide a string for a name. So my first student is Shannon. I then made a second student, and here's my second student right here. Data type is student. I called it student 2. It's a new student, and I provided the string Brooke for this student. I then invoked the input grades method for student 1. So you can see I've got student 1 dot input grades. I invoked the input grades for student 2. So student 2 dot input grades. So it's indicating which student I want to invoke that method on. I also noticed I misspelled Brooke when I created or instantiated my Brooke object or my student 2 object. So I can use my set name to actually fix it. I left the E off on Brooke. So if I look right here, student 2 dot set name, you can see I correctly spelled her name with the E on it. The next thing I've got is I wanted to be able to see what does this look like after I've inputted my test scores and I have averaged them. What would that look like? And so I've got a couple of outputs right here. The average for student 1 dot get name is, and then that's where I invoke the average on student 1 and then the average on student 2. So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. The other thing I wanted to show you here, sorry, not the screen I wanted to move. That's the screen I wanted to move. So over here on the left-hand corner, you see here's my student class and here's my grades class. And we've got this little arrow right here. As long as your driver and your class, your object class are in the same package, then we don't have to indicate anything. BlueJ, when it compiles, is going to be able to find it. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile this and we'll see what it looks like. So I'm prompted for, it says enter Shannon's score for test 1 in APCSA. She got a 59. Enter Shannon's test score or score for test 2. She did much better the second time and got a 95. Enter Brooke's score, and you can see it, there's no E on Brooke right here because we have not gotten to the set name method yet where we see that we had an error. So we'll put in Brooke's score, she got a 78. And on test 2, she got 100 because she's a whiz kid. And then we'll see it outputs the averages. The average for Shannon is 77. The average for Brooke is 89. And look at the spelling on Brooke when it printed the average. You can see that it did, in fact, change the name and added the E.